I used to read a lot of books in middle school. I mean, why did I say used to? Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited for today's video. I was kind of pondering and thinking of what I should do next. And I know a lot of people love tier ranking videos. I enjoy watching them myself. But I didn't want to do tier ranking books I read last year because it was a really bad reading year. But I couldn't think of like anything else. Like I didn't really have anything interesting that I could tier rank. Like all the series I've read, it's like 7 maybe. But I was looking through my Goodreads and I looked at all the books that I had logged. And I thought, why don't I tier rank all the books I read in middle school? So, like a lot of people, like a lot of other people, I started reading a lot when I was in middle school. That was my time. That was my awakening. I started watching BookTube in middle school. I started reading a ton. I loved BookTube. I loved going to my school library. I loved going to Barnes & Noble. So I thought I would tier rank not all the books I read in middle school, but like the books I read in middle school. This also kind of encompasses some books from like early high school and maybe younger. But why don't we just get right into it and get started? Okay, let's look at the tiers that I have here. At the top, we have Altered My Brain Chemistry. You know, a book that was just so good, it did something. It changed something in my mind. And it like changed me as a person. Our second tier is Silly Goofy Time. This can include books that aren't necessarily silly goofy times, but you know, like they were good. Like they were good. Third tier, we have It Exists. This one's pretty self-explanatory, you know. It just is there. It's just a book that like lives. It's not offensive, but it didn't really do that much for me. Second to last tier, I read this. Also kind of self-explanatory, but kind of like I don't even remember reading this. Like, where did this come from? Like, what is this book? And then lastly, why did I read this? I feel like this kind of fits for not a lot of the books on here. So we'll see. We will see. First book already, 13 Reasons Why.
Shit the bed.
Not about my period.
I know where this is going. I know where this is going. There's literally no question. Why did I read this? Not only did I not read this book when I was in middle school, I read it when I was 8 years old. I was entirely too young to read it. I remember finding this book. I was in Target. I read the back, didn't fully understand it. I was like, Dead Girl Tapes? Ooh, sounds creepy. And then I bought it and I read it, and I will tell you, I did not know what was going on. I feel like I didn't really realize it was about suicide until the show was coming out. We know this. We know 13 Reasons Why.
That damn smile.
I should not have been reading this at 8 years old. That one was easy. That one was easy. Next, we have Looking for Alaska by Mr. John Green. This one's kind of hard. I remember reading through this and like expecting or thinking I'm supposed to like it, and I just like knew I didn't actually care that much. I literally can't tell you anything about this. Honestly, this isn't I read this. I know I read it. I remember reading it, but I remember nothing of it. Next is Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. I liked it. So this is going in It Exists. I liked it, but it's not as good as Morgan Matson's other books. And it was definitely very insta-lovey. Like, I was enjoying the relationship, and then something happened and it just kind of moved too fast for me. I was like, I don't actually care anymore. So it can go in It Exists. It's not bad. It's a fun, like, road trip book. You know, there's romance. It's cute. The infamous Anna and the French Kiss. Oh, this book. I couldn't go anywhere without seeing this cover in the book community at all. And let me tell you, I loved it. I did love it. But looking back on it, it wouldn't hold up. I definitely have tried rereading it before. Well, when I was in middle school, I tried rereading it. Did I reread it? I think I tried rereading it and then I couldn't get through it the second time. I know the whole cheating stuff in it is like scandalous. And I don't think that would vibe with me now. I mean, I don't think it would vibe with me now anyway. It's super YA. Like, I wouldn't like it now. But I think this goes in It Exists, and it'll go below Amy and Rogers for sure. But it wasn't bad enough that it should be any lower. I think that's like the perfect spot. Okay, the next book is very specific to me and my reading life and my growing up, and that's Awkward by Marnie Bates. I don't think anyone else knows this book. I've never seen anyone talk about it on BookTube. I've never seen anyone mention it ever. I saw this book. Oh my god, I like have so many memories of like how I found each of these books. Awkward I found in Barnes & Noble. I remember, and I went with my dad, and I was perusing the young adult section, of course, as one does, and I found this book called Awkward, and I picked it up, and I was like, oh my god, is this what this show is based off of? More people will know the show Awkward. It is not the show Awkward, I promise you that. But I read the back. Oh my god. I vaguely remember. Oh no, I remember the synopsis. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you this one because it's freaking, it's great. It's hilarious. And it's, of course I would have loved it. Basically, the main character, don't know her name, she is outside on the quad or campus of her high school one day. She's wearing a massive backpack, and something happens where she like assaults a popular person. She accidentally like hits them with her backpack, and then someone's filming it and it goes viral. I don't remember the actual story that well, like how it happened, but she literally went viral. Someone posts it online and she goes viral, and she's like this internet sensation now. And the best part is she's tutoring the most popular guy in school, and for some reason they start getting closer, or she accosted him and he's like, tutor me? Is there tutoring in this book? I actually don't remember. I still have this book. I don't have any of the books that I've ranked so far. I've owned all of those. I don't own any of them anymore because I got rid of them. I still own Awkward. I literally loved this book so much, and it's not good. It's not bad. It is just a silly, goofy time. It really is a silly, goofy time. Yeah, but she ends up with the popular guy, of course, and it was just everything to me. It was everything I wanted as a middle school, awkward, uncomfortable person. Okay, next book is iconic. I've seen it on BookTube before, but like back then. When I read the book, I had seen it on BookTube, but I think after I read it, it's called Bad Girls Don't Die. I found this book at my school library. You guys, I loved this book. This is a ghost story. The main character has pink hair. Her sister basically like gets possessed, and then they have to like get rid of the ghost somehow. But there was a boy that our main character was friends with. Honestly, I don't remember him that well. I don't know if he was popular. I don't know if he was an edgy guy. I don't know, but they like were working together on this ghost hunt. But there was a scene where they kissed. Oh, I really want to put this in Altered My Brain Chemistry, but I don't know if I can. Honestly, like Awkward kind of got me more hyped up, but I don't think Bad Girls Don't Die would go below Awkward. I might move it, but I think it goes above Awkward and Silly Goofy Time. It was a silly, goofy, fun ghost time. There was a sequel, potentially a third book. I never read them. I wanted to. I owned them. And I think I reread Bad Girls Don't Die. Like, I think that's one of the books that I actually did reread. Alright, next we have a pretty influential one. Beautiful Creatures by Margaret Stoll and someone? I think this was a dual authorship. Okay, yeah. Margaret Stoll and Cameron Garcia. Yes, okay. This one, again, I just have such solid memories with so many of the books that I've read, and Beautiful Creatures is one of them. I was in Buffalo Wild Wings, and I got a sample of Beautiful Creatures from like iBooks on my phone. I started reading and I was like, oh my god, I literally love this book. I need to own it. I need to read it. Honestly, I don't remember it that well. I think I'm gonna put it in It Exists because I think it was solid enough. I'll put it below Amy and Rogers and above Anna and the French Kiss. The movie I low-key kind of liked. I think I must have seen the trailer for the movie before getting dinner at Buffalo Wild Wings. That might have been what happened. I don't know. We have a legend in our midst right now. That is Blue is for Nightmares by Lori Faria Stoltz. I think that's her name. This is the book. Yeah, oh, Lori Faria Stolars. Sorry, I'm so sorry, Queen, I'm so sorry. This is the book. This is the book. I altered my brain chemistry. Guys, this is the book that got me into reading, and this is the book that got me into the obsessive booktube, like, YA section, actually the paranormal romance section before it was YA. This is the book that did it. I read a little bit in elementary school. Blue is for Nightmares. My cousin and my sister both read this series and loved it. And I decided to pick it up one day. And then I blew through. I was not a very fast reader. But I picked this up. I was obsessed. I read the entire series. I was committed, and then I needed more books. I was reading and reading and reading after this. This is the book that literally started it all and changed my life, changed me as a person, changed my direction in this world. This is the book that did it. Do I remember much from it? No, but this is the book that did it. And she will always have a spot in my heart, and she will be the book that altered my brain chemistry. Absolutely, she altered it. I do remember a little bit. Basically, the main character, she would have dreams about stuff, and then they would actually happen. That's like basically what happened. I owned all of the books, and then I let some rando girl borrow the first book, and then she moved to Florida and never gave it back to me. And I never replaced it. I would reread these because I need to see what they're like. These are from literally 2003. The first book came out in 2003. This would be an interesting ride, but I would go on it. I would. Next we have Cinder by Marissa Mayer. Like, everyone knows these books. They are pretty iconic. I don't really know where to put this. This is hard. It was kind of fun, and honestly I've been kind of thinking about going back to the series. I read the first book and then I read like half of Scarlet. But then I stopped because it felt a little insta-lovey, even though, like, I was liking the romance that was happening. But then this was a problem for me a lot when I was younger. There's another book. I'll get to it. I'll get to it later. Okay, that's about Scarlet, though. We're talking about Cinder. I like the concept of these books a lot. And I remember liking the vibes of, like, the sci-fi element. Obviously, Cinder, her name is Cinder, right? She's a robot, and it's very cool. I think it's a very interesting story, and I think I would go back to it. I think that's why I would put it above, thank you, above Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, but it would stay in It Exists for now, because, like, I don't really remember it that well, but I have thought about going back to it, and I wouldn't go back to Amy and Roger's. Guys. City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. Alright, there are a few things with this one. I never finished the Mortal Instruments series. I read City of Bones and then half of City of Ashes, and then I just didn't care. I stopped caring. I've since gone back to Cassandra Clare and read The Infernal Devices and The Last Hours. Love those. And I'm gonna read through The Dark Artifices, but I low-key would go back to the Mortal Instruments just to see the vibes. But the fact that this woman had people shipping a couple that they thought could be siblings is insane. People stuck with this series after book one, after the way she ended it. Spoiler? Okay, yeah, it is a spoiler. Most people have read this book, but most people know the insanity that comes with this series. This book in particular, I like almost want to put it in Silly Goofy Time because it's just like so iconic, but I really don't know if it wasn't a Silly Goofy Time for me. I shipped Clace, but I just like I kind of didn't really care that much. Okay, definitely would go above Beautiful Creatures. Would it go above Amy and Rogers, though? Thinking of Past Me, probably below. I didn't care about this. I think me now, where I'm like, I would maybe go back to it, I like kind of would put it higher, but it just, I'm sorry. Next book is Decked with Holly by Marnie Bates. So most of these books I didn't really include continuations, or I included some books that are like by the same author, but Marnie Bates had like a chokehold on me. This is going and altered my brain chemistry because I loved this book so much more than Awkward. I did love Awkward, but Decked with Holly, this is set in the same world, but it's kind of its own thing. Alright, so Decked with Holly follows Holly, and she's going on like a holiday cruise with her grandpa and like her cousins who hate her and are mean to her, and basically I think she gets kicked out of her room and then she ends up somehow getting like pepper sprayed or she ends up somehow in a drummer's room from a band that's staying on the cruise, and then they end up having to fake date for some reason because like people spot them together. A girl dating a drummer in a famous band. Yeah, I ate this book up. I loved this book. Oh, another very specific memory of this. I was driving home with my mom in the car from my sister's college, and we were stuck in like insane traffic. We were in the car for literally 6 hours, and I had The Last Time by Taylor Swift on repeat, and I read this book. I read like the entirety of it in that car ride. It did something to me. So the idea of her dating a band member, yeah, it altered something in my brain. It did. This altered my brain chemistry and Silly Goofy Time are such specific books to me. Next is Divergent. Divergent was good. The first book was good. I enjoyed it. I think I'll put it in Silly Goofy Time, like at the bottom, because like it didn't really do much for it did stuff for me, but it didn't do like a whole lot. Let's just move along. Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. This is a very controversial book, and I mean for good reason. The content of it is written very weirdly. I don't know. I read this book because I wanted to get into Rainbow Rowell. I wanted to read Fangirl, read half of it, didn't finish it. This is the only Rainbow... That's not true. I've read Carry On recently. I read this. Evermore. I don't know the author of this, and I'm not gonna look it up because it really didn't have that much of an impact on me. I'm gonna do a little bit of research. This is going at the bottom of it. I read this. I really don't remember it that well. So this is a paranormal romance. This is like one of those classic paranormal romance series that came after Twilight. Actually, I'm gonna do a little bit of research. Evermore. Book, not Evermore. Okay, so this is the Immortal series by Alison Noel. What is this about? Okay. This is something I was gonna get to, but I just saw the name of the second book. It's called Blue Moon. It was a New Moon ripoff. Every single paranormal romance series has 4 books. The first book, the main girl and the love interest meet, whatever, he saves her life, whatever. Book 2, he's distant for some reason, and then another guy comes in and she like starts falling for him for some reason. Every single series where that has happened, I stopped reading the second book. This was one of them. I read the first book and I really liked it. Yeah, I read this question mark at the bottom. I don't remember like any of it, minus the fact that the second book, she starts talking to some other dude and the main guy starts like ignoring her, and I was like, oh, I'm not reading Twilight. This next book is called Every You, Every Me by David Levithan. This one was like about a photographer, and there are like actual pictures in the book, which I thought was cool, and for some reason I like loved it after reading it, and then I wanted to reread it, but I cannot tell you what this book is about literally whatsoever. It's going right at the bottom. It's going below Evermore because Evermore had a bigger impact on me. Gone by Michael Grant, I think is his name. It kind of just exists. It kind of just exists. Oh, y'all. Why is this one making me giggle? Okay, Hush Hush by something Patrick. Y'all, this is the best book ever. Becca Fitzpatrick. Okay, this is not the best book ever, but it was a freaking silly, goofy time. This one's about angels. It's another paranormal romance series. It had like the same structure as Twilight in that the second book, I started reading it. He was ignoring her, another guy came into the picture, and I was not having it. I was not having it at all. It's Silly Goofy Time. It's below Divergent. If I Stay is absolutely... What am I doing? Honestly, Evermore can go at the top of this. It like kind of impacted me more than all these other books. If I Stay, it's going in, I read this because I don't remember it at all. It was that movie with like Chloe Grace Moretz, I think, which was like really bad. Yeah, I didn't remember I read this until I was looking through Goodreads, so This is literally so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. So this is the second book in the awkward series. Am I like the awkward like spokesperson now? Marty Bates, I'm your biggest fan. I think I remember commenting on one of her Instagram posts and she responded and I was like, Invisible follows the best friend of the main character from Awkward, and I loved Invisible so much better because there was like this big conflict later in the end. First of all, I loved the romance. It was very cute. But there was like this big conflict towards the end where the main character of Invisible accidentally like revealed something or like accidentally leaked her best friend's diary, and then like all of her friends dropped her, all of her friends were angry with her, and I was like reading those scenes and I was sobbing. I was like, oh my god, I feel so bad for her. It was like me and my anxiety of like my friends wanting to ditch me for no reason. I don't know, it hit me, it impacted me, it did something to me. That one altered my brain chemistry a little bit. Next we have Life as We Knew It by Susan Beth Pfeffer. I'm pretty good with remembering these names, to be honest. This was a good book. This was a really good book. I haven't read it since I was like 11. I mean, I haven't read like most of these since I was like 11. This was a book that was like a post-apocalyptic world where like the moon like got closer to the world and it just like caused all of these like natural disasters. And I remember really enjoying it, and I've had family members read it and they also liked it. So it was a good time. It was a good time. Okay, next is Lola and the Boy Next Door. I wanted to put it at the top of Silly Goofy Time. I don't know if it should go all the way up there. I liked this so much more than Anna and the French Kiss. Oh my god, look at them together. Oh, that's so romantic. First of all, I have the original covers because I'm an original cover stan of the Anna and the French Kiss books. They were so corny and cheesy and gross, but they were also everything. The rebrand was not it. Ugh. Lola and the Boy Next Door, I have another vivid memory of me sitting at my dad's house in my room listening to Lana Del Rey and finishing this book. And I was like, oh my god, Lola and her whatever guy. So I love them. I like this one better. I think this one is actually better. I don't know if it would necessarily hold up. I think Lola was like quirky. She wore wigs and stuff. She was literally like Lola Loftingle. But a point I wanted to bring up, I'll bring up now. Because I owned and read 70% of Isla and the Happily Ever After. That one was like, okay, that one was way more mature. Like the characters literally have sex in that book. But I was really enjoying the romance, and then it moved too fast for me. I think maybe because I was like kind of young and there was like a sex scene. I felt like, I mean, that's kind of how it was with Amy and Rogers. I was like, what's going on, you guys? You shouldn't be doing that yet. But Isla, like, it was just one of those moments where I was like, guys, you guys are falling in love a little too quickly for me. Like, please take a step back. Please relax. Lola's great. I really wish we could have gotten a cheesy cover for Isla. Maybe I would have liked it better. Matched by Ali Condi. This was an early book. This was one of the first books I read after Blues for Nightmares. I hated it. I was like, this is the most bland book I've ever read in my life. And this romance is so stupid. It was like a love triangle. It was dystopian. Something about like love. I don't know. You're like set up with someone. I don't really remember it that well. But basically you kind of you're matched with someone. I don't know. It was like a love triangle between her best friend who she was matched with and then some other like edgy guy who's like talking about like reading and books because books are banned. I hated this book. Alright. This might be a little brutal. Can you like go where I want you to go? There we go. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I also hated this book a lot. I really don't know if it deserves to be this low, but it just like pissed me off. And the main character annoyed me so much, and he kind of just like abandons his family, and I'm like, bro, that's kind of a little dramatic. I don't know. I don't have that much to say about it. This book was literally just Ransom Riggs found some like old-timey pictures and I'm like, ooh, these are kind of spooky. Let me write a book around this. And then he wrote freaking 5 books. It didn't even need one. No, this isn't going that high. Monster High, it'll go at the bottom of It Exists, because, I don't know. I had fun with it. I liked it. I read like the first 2 books. I liked it. It was fun. Another paranormal romance series. I don't remember this. I read 3 books in this series and I barely remember it. These are way more books than I honestly thought or expected. It's taking a little bit longer, but I'm having a grand old time. Nevermore by Kelly Creech. This book I found on BookTube. I remember literally nothing of it. That cover's actually terrifying. The man on it is scary. Whew. Okay, we're literally getting to the books that are all freaking... I don't even know where to put this. Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is about aliens. My alien boyfriend. Yeah, I wanted to be obsessed with this series, but I wasn't. Okay, JLA, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's an alien. That's literally all you have to know. Okay, next is Perfect Chemistry. This I found from BookTube. An urban story. Simone L. Calez. Yeah, I remember this. Miss Whitey White. No, good for her. Good for her. I owned all 3 of these books and I ate them up. It's gonna go... It was just like a YA romance trilogy about like 3 brothers. Each book was about a different brother. They were all Latinos and they were all gangbangers. I actually don't know if they were gangbangers, but they were kind of like... They were supposed to be a little like rough around the edges. But it was about 3 brothers and then their white girlfriends. Actually, the second one, I think the love interest, the girl was Hispanic. Unlikely lab partners Brittany Ellis and Alex Fuentes. When Brittany Ellis walks into chemistry class on the first day of senior year, she has no clue that her carefully created, perfect life is about to unravel before her eyes. I was right! Oh my god. She's supposed to be lab partners with Alex Fuentes, a gang member from the other side of town. No, I thought I was making that up. They were actually gang members. Holy Jesus. I'm gonna keep reading. A gang member from the other side of town, and he's about to threaten everything she's worked so hard for: her flawless reputation, her relationship with her boyfriend, and the secret that her home life is anything but perfect. What, her parents are divorced? Oh my god, she's like so edgy. Alex is a bad boy and he knows it. So when he makes a bet with his friends to lure Brittany into his life, he thinks nothing of it. I do remember that. But soon Alex realizes Brittany is a real person with real problems. And suddenly the bet he made in arrogance turns into something much more. Neither Brittany nor Alex is prepared for the most surprising chemical reaction of all. Love. I'm putting that at the bottom. Honestly, I mean, I enjoyed my time reading it, but that was insane. Okay, I'm not gonna put it that low because I kind of liked it when I read it. I would not like it now. Miss Simone L. Calez had the audacity. It's gonna go with the paranormal romance girlies. This was all over BookTube. Whatever. Alright, next we have Perks of Being a Wallflower. Oh, this feels really wrong. I was about to put it in Silly Goofy Time. It is most definitely not a Silly Goofy Time. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really actually love this book that much. I reread it kind of recently. It's a lot. It does a lot. The movie is good. The book, for some reason, I think the writing just like isn't my favorite thing. But I think it'll go at the top of It Exists. That feels so wrong. Me putting Lola and the Boy Next Door and Hush Hush and Awkward above Perks. We'll just move right past it. We'll just move right past it. Pivot Point by Casey West. This book was fun. This was a duology and I actually read both of the books and I actually loved both of the books. I still own them because I can't seem to part with them. Me with the Awkward series. I just really loved it. The first book is about this girl. It's like kind of a dystopian
kind of story where like everyone lives inside of like a bubble, but like this town that's kind of like domed off from like the outside world for some reason. But I really don't remember why. Like I don't know why there was that like separation. But our main character has this power where she can see like pivot points of her life and see like where her life will go if she makes one decision or see what happens if she makes another one. So her friends are divorced, her dad moves out, and she kind of goes through what her life would be if she stayed.
I'm getting so into this book. I'm sorry.
The first book has alternating chapters between like her different lives, like with her mom or with her dad, and the second book has alternating chapters with our main character from the first book still, and then the best friend. And I like the best friend's chapters a lot better because I think the romance of it was better.
Shut up!
It was a fun time. It was fun. I like those books. Alright, next. No, it has to go. Lightning Thief deserves the top spot right now. This is the series This is the series that I've reread 3 times. Actually, okay, I read them for the first time when I was 10. Sped through all of them, didn't finish The Last Olympian. I tried rereading them when I was 15, sped through the first books. Again, didn't finish The Last Olympian. Finally, 2020 hits. 2020 is the moment where I started reading again, and I picked up The Lightning Thief, read through all the books, had to take a pause because I could not find my copy of The Last Olympian, had to rebuy it. I finally read The Last Olympian. So I've read the first 4 books 3 times, and I read The Last Olympian once, but that altered my brain chemistry, has got me into reading multiple times in my life. Love that series forever and ever and ever. Private by I don't know who is going at the end if I read this. It's going at the end. Actually, I don't think it deserves that. Actually, it kind of does. It'll go above Perfect Chemistry. This is basically Gossip Girl, but at, I think, a boarding school. I really don't remember it. I didn't actually like it. I think I might have given it 2 stars, and I like didn't give books 2 stars when I was younger, besides Matches, which I gave 1 star. I remember like nothing of this. Rebel Belle. Rebel Belle by Rachel Hawkins. I loved this book. It was so fun. I'm kind of sad I got rid of it. I think it was a fun, good time. It's basically about like, it's set like in the South. And the main girlie is a debutante or something, but she kind of has like, I don't know, she ends up becoming not an assassin, but like not an apprentice either. But like, you know, a sword-wielding, knife-wielding girly, and I don't really remember it that well, but I know the romance was fun because she was like a popular Southern Belle girly, and then he was like some nerdy guy, but he was cute. It was a good book. It was a good book though, and I enjoyed it. Scott Pilgrim. I read this entire graphic novel series after watching the movie. This was fun. This was good. I'm gonna put it above Divergent because but below Awkward. Awkward had a bigger impact on me. I don't know. I really don't even remember it that well, so I kind of can't really speak on it. I'm gonna get through a couple of these other girlies that are like nothing. Let's go to Wake. Yeah, this is going at the bottom if I read this. It wasn't a bad book, but I truly did not care about it. Moving on. Through Her Eyes. Straight up going at the bottom if I read this because I remember nothing about this. That cover literally haunts me and terrifies me. Why is she stark white? Let's get Wonder out of the way. Oh, this is another book that is not a silly goofy time, but it's a good book. It like has its merits, which I think Perks might be better. All right, this is getting packed. I think we can go on. We can continue on now because I think these next few, they're something. Okay, next is Shatter Me by Tahara Mafi. I put the original cover because I just felt like clowning a little bit. I hated this book so much, and I will always remember this one line that really truly solidified my hatred of this book. I was liking it when I first started, and I liked what was happening, but then something switched, and I was like, Juliet is so annoying. Everyone's in love with her. Of course her love interest can be touched by her, because like everyone she touches dies or something. I don't remember. And then of course the villain could be touched by her, and we all know how that goes. I didn't like this book, and the line that has always stuck in my brain is, my jaw was dangling from my tooth. Why do I always want to say toothpaste? My jaw was tangling from my shoelace. Like her jaw dropped. You're trying too hard. It was trying way too hard, and I just hated it. I know people like love the other books. I did not like it. I did not continue with it, and I didn't even read that cover, but I just had to include it because it's hilarious. The Fault in Our Stars. This was another book that I did like it, but I also kind of felt like I was supposed to because John Green was so popular, and I did tear up a little at the end. You know, I cried more in the movie than I did in the book. It kind of just exists. Like, maybe it doesn't deserve to be below Monster High, but I really didn't actually care about this book that much. Alright, next is The Lion Game by Sarah Shepard. This is the author of Pretty Little Liars, and I was the biggest Pretty Little Liars stan ever. I was obsessed with it. I never read the books though. This one was fun, but I think it kind of goes and it exists. like looking back on it, I had a good time. Well, if we're thinking about how I felt back then, it would go in silly goofy time because I was really into it. I think it had to do with twins. Maybe one of them died. I honestly don't remember that well. But I had a good time. I had a good time with it. Then I She Disappeared by April Henry. This is another book I cannot bring myself to give up. I really want to put this in Altered by Brain Chemistry. I don't think it deserves that. It will go... This is complicated because it's kind of my thoughts now, but it's also kind of my thoughts back then. I loved this book. It is like a 200-page mystery where a girl went missing. She disappeared. But our two main characters worked together at a pizza shop or something. I don't know. But I just remember one scene where they were like making out even though like their coworker was missing. And then like he talked about like the bra she was wearing and I was like, it did alter my brain chemistry a little bit. I reread that chapter in the past, like when I was reading the book. Multiple times. Next is The Selection by quirky. I kind of vibed with it, but honestly, it was not that good. I'll put it above Eleanor and Park. It was kind of stupid, but I'm kind of low-key interested to see like what a show would be like. But I don't even think I would be able to like put myself through a show. I think that's good. I think that's good. Next we have The Summoning by Kelly Armstrong. I got that one on my own. It's kind of like about like teens with powers and they kind of like live in this like orphan institute thing, but I don't really know if they're orphans. But I ended up reading the whole trilogy. I don't really know if it deserves that, but I ended up reading the whole trilogy and she ended up with the guy that I wanted, so I was very happy. We are in the home freaking stretch. Next we have Hunger Games. I have a complicated past with the Hunger Games, actually. So I read this book for the first time before the movie came out, so when I was like 12 years old, and I didn't really like it that much. I was Team Gale, first of all. We won't talk about that. I read it and I was like, yeah, it's good, but it kind of didn't do anything for me. But during quarantine, I decided to pick up the Hunger Games and I loved it. I loved it. I loved it so much. It is such a good series. It deserved all the hype and it deserves all the hype. Hunger Games, the first book is amazing. Catching Fire, the second book, is also amazing. Like those two are so good. Mockingjay, it's really not that great. I don't think it's a great conclusion to the trilogy, but Hunger Games is that series. Like Suzanne Collins did what she had to do. She didn't do what she had to do with Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. The way that there's like, I mean, there are some iconic things in here, but the way that Altered my Brain Chemistry is two iconic series and like the other ones are, there's some randos. That's kind of funny. Alright, next we have The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer. And I wanted this book to alter my brain chemistry so badly. I honestly kind of think this book's garbage. I remember like nothing of it and I wanted to like it so badly. I wanted to love me some Noah Shaw. But I really didn't. I kind of thought it was stupid, but as I was reading I was like, no, this is good. Like this is good. As I was literally like, what's happening? But I was like, no, this is good. Yeah, this is really good.
She's really good.
I wanted to like it so badly and then I didn't. Alright, our last book is Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. Right, okay, I still have them. They're right there. I have the first 5 books, which is like literally almost the entire series. Oh, that kind of spoils my thoughts. This is silly goofy time. The first book's not that good. I reread it kind of recently to like try to like get out of a reading slump. It didn't do much for me, but I've low-key been thinking about reading through the series and like trying to finish it because I really started to love this series. It wasn't until like the 3rd book. Something major happens at the end of the 3rd book, which I got spoiled to myself because I looked up Vampire Academy on Tumblr for some reason. The 3rd book, literally the end of it had me sobbing, and then the 4th book had me sobbing even more, and literally in my review for it, I was like, I had a dream about this, or no, I was like depressed after finishing it. 2 days later, I edited my review, and I was like, I had a dream about this and woke up crying. It affected me way more than it should have, and then I didn't finish the series. Okay, this is the final ranking. I don't think there's anything I want to change. This is my official ranking, and I need to know all of your thoughts in the comments. Please let me know if you've read any of these like random books. They're so iconic to me, and they're so like specific to my upbringing. I need to know if they affected anyone else the way that they affected me, because I have never heard anyone talk about Blues for Nightmares or Decked with Holly or like Awkward or any of those. That's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had as much fun as me. My camera's all red right now, so I really have to go, but bye.